What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. With Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. Got a packed show today. We're going to be breaking down KU's exhibition finale, the victory last night at Fog Allen over Fort Hays State. Plus, we'll hear from Bill Self post-game. Special guest coming in at 4:40, Henry Greenstein.
That's right, all the way from California. Can you believe that?
KUSports.com,
I don't know if he'll be able to fit his surfboard through the door, but it'll be fun.
I think it's a longboard. You know better. I think it's a longboard.
Of course, there's no waves to be surfed here in Kansas.
Greeny's going to come on 4:40. He'll talk KU basketball, of course, his excitement, what he saw in the exhibition games, and, of course, the loss on Saturday to K-State. Dan will tell you that we're going to try to put a bow on that, but we'll also ask Brian Haney about that tomorrow, and then we'll officially put a bow on that.
Of course.
We can't put a bow on that performance. We got to put something else on that. We'll close the door on it.
I want to put a bow on it.
Why? It doesn't deserve a bow. That was a bad performance.
Well, okay.
We want to close the door on it.
In terms of close the door is probably a better metaphor.
We'll go with that. But yeah, we don't want to talk too much about that. We got to beat Oklahoma State on Saturday.
That's right.
Perhaps Greeny has something to say about soccer and volleyball as well. So excited to see him again in studio. 5 o'clock hour, Dan. KU Mailbag segment.
That's right. Did you know that it's by the people and it's for the people, the KU Mailbag segment, where you send us questions and we try to answer them to the best of our ability. One of my favorite segments, if not my favorite segment that we do all week, because we get to hear from you, the fans. A lot of great stuff on this KU Mailbag segment. Really excited. A lot of fun questions. I thought it'd be a little bit more negative, but a lot of non-KU football questions, which I think is okay.
At the Kansas Nation on Twitter, if you want to send in your questions, comments about anything, food, anything else, really. We're going to hear from KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald following the KU Mailbag segment, and then we will close hearing from KU Safety Lyrik Rawls, as well as talking some World Series stuff, anything else that we didn't get in around the world of sports. Dan, you excited for Halloween? We got 2 days. What are your trick-or-treating plans?
Actually, I'm nothing crazy. I'm actually going to go
pick up a dresser in Ottawa.
No, I don't have any plans to go get any furniture. Okay. This last weekend, I did help move Piper's grandpa into her parents' house because he just sold his house. So I had to do some of that. But this weekend, nothing too crazy. Let me think. So our street where I live, is filled to the brim, and I love it. It's great, but it's filled to the brim with older adults, I would say. People with kids who are not of trick-or-treating age. So we asked around when we first moved in, and they said, yeah, look, nobody ever comes trick-or-treating around these parts.
That kind of stinks. Yeah.
It really sucks. So we actually have a friend who lives kind of up north of town, and we're going to go over to their house and hand out candy for Halloween. So it'll be fun. Don't know if I have any plans afterwards. What are you dressing up as? I'm sure this is
a secret. It's a secret. We'll have photos for you though next week.
I have a question. Did you pick out the costumes?
No.
Yep.
And my daughter has gone back and forth and back on 3 or 4 different things that she wants to go. So we'll see how it shakes out.
One of them, I bet you threw out Elmo.
So Elmo is in the toy room right now. I don't know if
is she in a Paw Patrol phase at all? No. Mickey Mouse. Gotta be.
Nope.
Wow, really?
Okay, so
interesting.
The first year, because you got to do family costumes.
Right.
So she's 2, so we've had 2 Halloweens. When she was a baby, you remember
Trash
this.
Panda?
No, that was last year.
That was last year.
First year, though, candy corn.
Candy corn.
So I was the corn, and my wife was the candy. She had this,
corn.
whatever. What's that stuff called? The like, not paper, but
paper mache?
No, I'm trying to think of what it is.
Not paper.
So the hard candy that has the wrappers on it. So that's essentially what she dressed up as. She used it starts with an S. I can't remember the type of.
Like a peppermint
type.
Sure.
It was, but I don't remember what she
Jolly
used
Rancher.
to make out of it. Anyway, and then our baby at the time was candy corn, and then last year, I was trash.
Yes.
And my wife was a panda bear, and my daughter was a raccoon. So.
Yes, but so your daughter now is able to speak some words.
Many words.
A lot of words.
A lot of words.
Good for her. More words than Henry Greenstein.
Oh, that would be one person that I don't know if she can keep up. But she's got the xylophone and the pacifier and
pretty good.
Yeah.
But now now she's involved in the decision-making process of the Halloween costumes.
And she has strong opinions.
Of course, I can only imagine.
Absolutely. No, it'll be fun. We'll have photos, and I want to know what you are dressing up as.
I'm going to dress up for the show.
Good. We should.
Yeah. Are you going to dress
I
up
didn't
for
even
the
think
show?
about that, but yes, I will.
It
I'll
show's
do
on
something.
Friday.
Yeah.
I'm going to dress up for the show. Why
There
not?
you go. Halloween. It's a Friday. Good vibes.
I don't care. I don't care where I'm at. Every single job I've ever had, I've dressed up for Halloween.
You should be allowed to.
And there's been a few times where it was like not
It,
not the
doesn't
vibe.
matter.
I was the only one who showed up in like a Where's Waldo costume. Everyone else was in like a regular polo.
Halloween is your favorite.
I love it.
Your favorite holiday. So you need to have a good time on Friday.
I absolutely love it.
KU had a good time last night against Fort Hays State, 71-35. Darren Peterson did not play as KU closes out the exhibition season. A lot to get into. Dan, your reaction to this one, because it wasn't the most exciting game. I kind of joked post-game it was one of the basketball games of all time, which it was, and it happened on October 28th, 2025, and not a lot will be drawn from it. It probably won't be remembered by people other than my nephew who got to be on the video board, but
right.
But it was a win, and now we start for real on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling me you're not going to remember where you were for Dan McConnell, his 8-point game against Kansas. You're not going to tell me.
Dan,
remember where
Dan
I was.
Dan is going to know that. Yeah.
Dan McConnell or Lucas Hamke, he had 8 points as well. You're not going to remember. You're not going to say
Pride of Lawrence. Juju Ramirez had 7.
Lucas Hamke 8-point game at Allen Fieldhouse. My goodness. No. Look. Let me start off with the good things that I can pull out of this game. The good thing: Kansas won 71-35. They held their opponent to 35 points. That's pretty damn good. Doesn't matter who you're playing. Doesn't matter if it's D2, NAIA, a high school team. You held them to 35 points. And Fort Hays State was really good last year. They obviously lost a ton of guys from last year, and they're still a D2 program. Which, by the way, Kyle Grill, did you know he was Caleb Grill's brother?
I did.
He
looks just like him.
Looks just like him. It's crazy. Not as good as at basketball. So, sorry. But that's one of the good things. Kansas won 71-35. Another good thing, Melvin Council Jr. looks really good. I think he had 16 points. Bill Self even said this, that he said the only good thing that he thought in that game was Melvin Council. Melvin Council, 5 for 6 from the field goal from the field, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Didn't shoot any threes, but did a good job of getting to the rim. I think this is the first time in a while that we've seen that number 2 or number 3 guy. He's a number 2 guy, but we've been able to see a guard get to the basket with that amount of ease, right? Because if you remember what happened last year, Zeke Mayo was terrified to put the ball on the ground. Rylan Griffin, whenever he did put the ball on the ground, he would take one step in and then step back and then kick it back out to somebody else. Nobody was able to drive the ball. Melvin Council is the exact opposite of that. He's not going to be shooting a lot of threes, I don't think. Now, he might be, right? And we know he can shoot the 3, but I think he's going to be more of a driving kind of guard, which I really do appreciate from a kind of guy like that. Darren Peterson, like you said, didn't play, dealing with cramps or a stomach bug. It was sort of up in the air in terms of what it was. I mean, Bill Self was kind of like, hey, man, I don't even know what it is. You know what I mean? He was feeling bad in the second half of the Louisville game, kind of extended over either as cramps or as a stomach bug or something was getting to him. So I like the decision to not play DP. Obviously, it sucks because this would have been his Allen Fieldhouse debut. It would have been fun to see Darren Peterson for the first time in Allen Fieldhouse. Now we're going to have to continue to wait to see him play an actual game of basketball in Allen Fieldhouse, which obviously sucks. Now for some negatives, which I don't want to be negative about this because Kansas still won the game. Like I said, 71-35. But it was against D2 school, and I'm bringing this up now because I know if I don't, then if I just continue to wait, I'm going to be probably late to the party, but I'm going to get in on this early. Floyd Badunga needs to get stronger. He absolutely needs to get stronger down low. He was letting, 6'6" centers from Fort Hays State push him around, and he was having to put up some kind of circus shots, and he wasn't able to put his shoulder down and go through some guy's chest and put up some strong buckets. Floyd Badunga needs to get stronger. Paul Mbia, it is abundantly clear he's not there yet. Right, his coordination is not there.
I kind of liked him BLS.
Yeah, look, he had a couple of but again, he was the tallest guy out there by a foot. Right, it was against Fort Hays State. I want to see more out of Paul Mbia in terms of just fundamentals of basketball, because to me he seemed a little loosey goosey out there and just a little uncoordinated. So I think that will come with time. Obviously, I think under development with some of the coaching staff and some of the other bigs, working together, I think that it could be, something that needs to get going. And I wanted to ask Bill Self about this, about what the ceiling was for Paul and Bia, because I don't know what the ceiling is, right? Obviously, if he is at his ceiling right now, that's not good. But I want to know what he thinks that the ceiling would be for Paul and Bia. Would it be a Udoka Azubuike? Obviously, that's high bar. But would it be Kevin Young or Parker Brown, or like where does he kind of slot into, I guess, player comparisons for the remainder of his career? Because it's abundantly clear he's not there. Bryson Tiller looks good. Rosario still not great. I think that he's finding his footing, right? And he's a baby deer just trying to learn how to walk right now. But if you know anything about baby deer, they start walking normally in the first day. So I think that it'll come. It'll come. Green Bay game. I think that he could have could put up a few points against fighting Doug Gottlieb's. But again, a little bit disappointing to not see Rosario be the star that he is. And I think it's abundantly clear that this team needs Darren Peterson. I mean, how many points do you think Darren Peterson would be worth in this game? How many points does Kansas score? Probably 90. Darren Peterson is probably worth 19 points in this game alone. So I think, and I said this before after the Louisville game, Kansas needs to find some consistent scoring outside of DP. And this is probably a good game because now they're learning to play without DP, right? This is a game where they could test it out and say, okay, who rises to the top? And Melvin Council did a great job. But Bill Self said, look, if Melvin Council is going to be our number 2 guy, we're going to be in trouble. Like, we need more from our bigs. We need more from, the power forward, the stretch 3, the 3. We need more from those kind of guys. We need more from our backup point guards. And so I think that this was a good indication of, okay, this team can play without DP. It's going to be worse because obviously you have a generational talent in a guy like DP, but you still need to figure it out because, barring some kind of catastrophe, like, you will have him out there. But if something does happen, like, you're going to have to figure it out.
It was choppy offensively, especially during stretches of this one, 33-16 at half. And then Bill Self, in the interest of just evening up the minutes distribution, went with a different starting 5 in the second half. That didn't go great. And then he went with a new starting 5 or a new 5 players, and Melvin Council kind of spearheaded the offensive attack that went on a run for KU after Fort Hays cut it to, I think, 11 somewhat early in the second half. Council, the best player in this one, 16 and 6. And I said this in the postgame locker room show, but he, as much as, we try to draw comparisons to previous Jayhawks, Melvin was in here in the Kansas Nation studios last week on a show with Tyshawn Taylor, Tyshawn's show called Time Out with Tyshawn Taylor. If you missed that, I encourage you to go to kansasnation.com and check it out.
Or YouTube.
I can't think of another comparison that's more similar since I've been a KU basketball fan. Literally, I think it's that similar. Melvin Council Jr. and Tyshawn Taylor. They're the same size.
Yeah.
And Melvin just does everything that Tyshawn does. They're both very wiry. Melvin wants to run. He's a dog. He attacks the rim. He's a defender who has high energy, and he's good with the ball in his hands, right? I mean, he just is doing so many things. The alley-oop to Flory, shades of Tyshawn to T-Rob, right? So really high on him. And, it's no doubt that he's, while maybe not in an ideal world, the second best offensive option for Kansas, he's certainly the second best ball handling option for Kansas. And he's a guy who can get you 20 points on any given night if you need him to. So really happy with Melvin there. I think after the tape, I can't help but wonder if Coach Self is going to think higher of Bryson Tiller than he said post-game. He didn't single out Bryson or anything, but he did single out Melvin, saying Melvin's the only one who really played well. Bryson Tiller had 10.7 boards and 2 blocks. I mean, he just likes a player. And that's the thing. This team just has a lot of really good basketball players. And I'm not, throwing any shade because we had good basketball players last year with DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams. They're good, but these guys bring something different to the table with the athleticism and kind of that extra burst of energy. And this team's ceiling is certainly way higher than being the 19th best team in the country. Other things that I saw, you mentioned Rosario. I'm not worried about him. He was up shooting hoops 2 hours after the game ended last night, which I know fans love seeing because, he's going to continue to work. And fans are great, right? Because it's like 2 exhibition games and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we're concerned and maybe we need a different starter. It's like, no, it's exhibition game. Yeah, he seemed a little sped up in a couple of those shots against Louisville and, didn't shoot it great. He was 1 of 5 yesterday. sound the alarm, I guess. An exhibition. I don't know. I mean, love the passion of KU fans. Agree and disagree with you regarding a couple of the bigs. Flory Badunga, he ends up getting 6 points on 3 of 9. He misses all 5 of his free throws. Actually missed all 6 because of that lane violation. We want him to take a step forward, even if he gets into the 60% range in free throws. That would be great. Did have 9 rebounds and 3 blocks. Picked it up a little bit, played only 19 minutes, picked it up a little bit that long stretch in the second half. But yeah, the strength, the ability to score inside, that's going to be something that we have to keep a keen eye on all season because KU needs that 1-2 punch. And that's more than just catching lobs on dribble drives. They're going to need Flory, as Coach Self has said, to be a guy who can score on the block. So that's important. Going to need him to be the guy, the monster type big that we expect and need this season because you don't have a 1-2 punch if you don't have a 2. And Flory's going to have to be that second option offensively. Paul Mbia, he had 9 points and 9 boards in 12 minutes. I agree with you regarding he's obviously green and he's obviously not probably as quick twitch as he will be in his career. But you would have said the same about Udoka Azubuike when he was a young player,
Yeah,
right?
which is fair, yeah.
He has got a 7'8" wingspan, which we'll continue to talk about. It's unbelievable, and I mean, looking at it in person, it's truly unbelievable.
That dunk that he had, he barely jumped.
And this is what fans want to see because we've had some bigs in the past, even some really good players who don't have the ability to do what Doak did, which is get the rebound and dunk it. That's what Paul Mbia can do. We saw that a couple times last night. And yes, his game needs to continue. I mean, Doak ends up being a first-team All-American. He could guard 1 through 5 as a 7-footer. He would dunk everything. If he ever missed a shot, which was rare because he shot upwards of 74% from the field basically every season.
I mean,
he would get a rebound and dunk it.
He has the NCAA record for highest
field goal percentage in a single season because it's hard to miss those at point-blank range, and he just wanted it so much. I see that from Mbia. Yes, it's early stages, but I liked what I saw out of him. You need some answers from Jaden Dawson as well, right? 17 minutes. This is a guy that a lot of people penciled in as a starter. And, kind of like I said with Rosario, we're not going to read too much into it in the exhibition. And he's done some nice things, possession to possession in each of the first 2 exhibitions. But he's going to have to be a 3-point shooter for Kansas. He and Rosario are going to have to fill that void. We're seeing El Marco is going to be that glue guy, going to be sort of that 2-3, can get you a mid-range bucket for a time or 2, can be a secondary ball handler a time or 2. And then you're seeing what kind of player Trey White is. If he goes 2 for 3 every game from 3, as he's done in the exhibition games, then that'd be great. But he's kind of one of those undersized 4 men who can contribute in just about every area on the stat sheet. So a lot to get into. Obviously, Bill Self saying post-game Corbin Allen is going to redshirt this upcoming season. Not a surprise there, but in Kansas City, one of the best players in the city in high school the past couple of years, come to Kansas. He's going to sit out this year. Saw a little bit of Samis Calderon, a little bit of Jamari McDowell, but yeah, kind of going through the roster on an individual basis. It was a game. KU blows out Fort Hays State. Would have been worse if Peterson was there, but I agree with what you said. Very, very important, maybe more so than anything, that KU gets 40 minutes of real game action without DP out there.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if DP is not out there for some unforeseen reason, like we saw against Fort Hays State, thankfully it was against Fort Hays State, so it wasn't that big of a deal, and it was an exhibition. It didn't count towards any record during the regular season. But you got to find out who that guy is. And this was a perfect game for rotational pieces, right? And Bill Self said there was no really rhyme or reason why a lot of these, different lineups were out there. He was just trying to get guys minutes, right? We saw a lot of Samis Calderon, which you saw a lot of good stuff on the defensive end from Samis, I think. Now on the offensive side of the board, on the offensive side of the ball, I think there was, a few times you just tell he was a little bit nervous, and he had a couple of turnovers, lost the ball a little bit, wasn't able to put up very many shots. But I think this is a great game to get guys momentum and get guys confidence up, including the guys who are going to be these key rotational pieces like Elmarco Jackson and Jamari McDowell, 2 guys who didn't play at all last year because Elmarco was hurt. Jamari redshirted, right? Those are 2 guys who were thrown to the wolves early in their careers, and obviously didn't turn out very good for them just because of the fact that I think they were a little too green. And then, having to take essentially a year off for both of them, coming back out there, you want to see them, A, take that leadership role, and B, not miss a step. And I think that's very important for those guys because we probably will be seeing a lot of Elmarko Jackson. You know how high I am on Elmarko Jackson. Jamari McDowell, he's a fascinating guy to me in terms of his role. I don't know where his role is going to be. He can shoot the ball. He can, stretch it. He can even bring up the ball if he really wants to. But we have so much depth. I'm just curious to know where that's going to come from. He's a really good veteran presence in that locker room. I think that he understands what it means to be a Jayhawk in a time of NIL.
And the transfer portal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And rev share?
And rev share. Yeah. See, look, you always make fun of me because
that was the slowest I've been. That was
really slow.
I know. I was locked in on Ginyu Gala's stats.
Right. But in that, right. Yeah, Ginyu Gala, that's a guy we haven't even mentioned yet. There was a Ginyu Gala sighting yesterday, which I thought was fun. But but Jamari McDowell, he just fascinates me, right? It is like, where does he expect to go in this lineup? But also, you love to have that guy in the locker room because he understands what it means to be a Jayhawk, and he can kind of, trickle that down to the other players, the new guys who are there who don't quite understand. Trey White, though, I'm glad you brought him up. 2 for 3 from the 3-point line. Melvin Council kept on joking that he was nervous during the game and in the post game. We'll hear that later in the week. It was one of my favorite post game press conferences I think we've ever had. But you were high on him before. I'm high on him now. I think Trey White's going to be phenomenal. It's just kind of a weirdly an embarrassment of riches everywhere. And there's so many guys in this squad where you're like, I want Bryson Tiller to play more. Where is he going to play more, right? If Trey White and Flory Badunga are going to be out there. I want Jamari and I want Elmarko to play more. But if Cole and Jaden and Melvin are all playing very well, how are they going to be able to slot that in? And Bill Self has always done a really good job of distributing these minutes. But at the same time, that's the reason that this game is so important is you can find that out early.
Well, I think that you and I talked about a really important individual with Flory Badunga. Mm-hmm. He's the most important big. Outside of Peterson, he's probably the most important player on this team. Another guy we should keep an eye on, and I mentioned him, Jaden Dawson. We got to keep an eye on him this season. He's got to be able to hit shots when he's in there, and what are his minutes going to look like? And I expect Rosario to be a guy who gets a lot of minutes and is a fan favorite because he just plays so hard, offensive rebounds, 50-50 balls, that sort of thing. But like you said, there's only so many minutes to go around. Mm-hmm. And I think the good thing about this roster is there are so many guys who want it. There are so many dogs that if you don't play defense, you're not going to play. KU wins 71-35. After 2 exhibitions, I think we can safely say that we're going to the Final Four. So I'm looking forward to that. But no, folks, ranked 19 in the country is ridiculous for this roster. You could mark my words on that. This is a top 10 roster in my eyes. Hey, after this, we're going to hear from the 2-time national champion Bill Self. Post-game, thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. One thing I didn't say about Paul Mbia, positive free throw stroke. You kidding me? Man, that's pure.
One thing also, our free throw defense was good. You'll hear Bill Self talk about that, but Fort Hays State, 2 for 10.
Yeah, that's
for free throws.
Pretty terrible. KU shot 47%, Fort Hays State 26%. Fort Hays State just 1 of 19 from 3. That's good for about 5%. So under 5%. Well, let's see. 1 of 19 is slightly above 5. Correct? 1 of 20 is 5%.
Right.
So
right
I shortchanged them a little bit. KU just 27% from 3. That's always going to be a stat that we track. Bill Self, post game, not thrilled, but does throw out some positives. Here he is.
I think early in the second half, you took the 5 guys out that were on the court and replaced them with a completely different 5. Were you happy with the results of that? And just overall, what did you think tonight?
Well, I didn't think it was great by any stretch. I thought we were dull, boring, not a lot of pace, energy, except for one guy, honestly, and he was really good. But no, we started different guys the second half. And it was only because of the minute distribution for the most part, and then that group didn't do very well to start the half. So it's not a big deal one way or another, but certainly tonight we were. I mean, there were some things defensively that we were okay, but we also didn't create havoc. We had our bigs didn't play big, and you can see we missed Darren, and other guys got to make some shots. But it wasn't great by any stretch, but we got through it. We probably needed something like that.
Trey had just under 20 minutes tonight. I know it's an exhibition game, but his usage going on throughout the rest of the season, do you think it might be more than that, or is
What,
that
minutes?
Yeah.
Trey? Yeah, it'll be more, but I didn't think that, he hunted a few shots. He did, he tried to post up and faded away. It was soft and a couple of times. So I actually thought he and Flory shied away from playing stronger, and so that was the reason why he came out. But he's a good player, but he's got to be more of a physical presence for us.
What have you thought of Bryson Tiller over the last couple of games?
I thought he was really good at Louisville. I didn't think anybody was very good tonight except Melvin, but I thought he was really good at Louisville, and he played the 5. He didn't play the 4 against Louisville because Flory was in foul trouble most of the time. So I thought he was really good. He's our best low post scorer, but I thought he shied away from making some stronger moves tonight too, though.
The enthusiasm and the energy that Melvin brings, can that be infectious for other guys when he's out there?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, and it'll be infectious for our fans. He'll be a fan favorite when you play that hard and play with pace and energy. And he'll make some mistakes, but most of the mistakes that he makes is out of being aggressive and trying hard. But doesn't he remind you guys of Tyshawn? I mean, just not only physically, but just the way he plays and everything. I see a lot of similarities. I thought Tyshawn was great.
Bill, when guys have sat down before, we've been around them a while, know what they're looking at. These two said, Melvin said he's looking at his rebounds first on the stat sheet, and Trey said he's looking at assists and turnovers. Do you like to hear that stuff and know what they're looking for and how it relates to what you want them to be focusing on?
First of all, they've got it twisted. Melvin should be worried about rebounds and turnovers, and Trey should be worried about rebounding.
Right.
Mel should be worried about assists and turnovers, and Trey should be worried about rebounding. So maybe that's a conversation that we need to have if that's what they think that's going to really help us win, because Trey's got to rebound the ball. I don't know how many he had tonight. He had 6, but no offensive rebounds on a team that only made 4 threes. He's got to do a better job with that.
I also want to ask you, was it fluky or something you're looking at with Paul and Flory being out there together? It was short tonight, but
There was nothing to it. It may not ever happen again.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was just trying to get guys minutes. That's all.
Okay.
Bill, are you surprised by anything from the 2 exhibition games that you watch about this team?
I don't think I'm surprised by anything tonight. Maybe a little disappointed in how our bigs played as much as anything, and how aggressive they were. But I was pleasantly surprised about the moment and how the guys reacted in the moment against Louisville. I thought we did pretty well, especially with Darren not playing the second half, basically. So I thought there were some good things there.
And with Darren's kind of stomach bug, did it kind of just pop up today, or was it something?
Yeah, he just didn't. He hadn't felt well. He hadn't felt well since halftime of the last game. He's dealing with the cramping stuff. But I think that and not feeling well physically, and he's talked to the doc, so he'll get that handled, and hopefully he'll be full speed here in a couple of days.
You said on the radio it was a bug of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what kind of bug it was. I just know that he said he didn't feel well today. But it could all be kind of related. I don't know. But there's no reason to put him out there tonight if he didn't feel well.
Tonight, you held them to 35 points. No team has ever scored 35 in the history of exhibition Kansas basketball. What do you think of your defense?
I thought our free throw defense was superb. They're 2 for 10. They missed shots that they could have easily made. We screwed up on a lot of switches and stuff like that. So I don't think it was awful by any stretch, but I don't think we did anything spectacular defensively.
How's Jamari McDowell played in your eyes?
I would say he's been pretty solid, but he made a shot tonight. So in the exhibition games, I could be wrong on this. 1 for 3 tonight, no for 2 the other night, so 1 for 5. He gotta do better than that. We gotta shoot the ball better than that.
Coach, it's only Flory's second year, but how important is he going to be as a leader in the middle for you guys this year?
Well, he's really important, and you know, Flory's our most experienced guy, basically returning. So yeah, it's very important. Now he wasn't very good tonight, and I thought he got out of character and tried to score ways that he doesn't score, and then you do that, and you have a couple of ugly balls, and then you don't play as confidently, you know, because you didn't play to your strengths. He just got to play to his strengths better. But he's a really good player. But he labored tonight, so that's probably good for him to see. To be honest with you, that he needs to play a certain way, because he didn't do that tonight.
Is Melvin kind of emerging as that second option to you, and do you think that's important for this team, or are you okay with it kind of
you mean offensively second option?
Yeah.
I think if Melvin is our second option, then it's going to be a very poor offensive year. He's maybe the second ball handling option, and maybe the best at getting downhill. But the way he scored tonight isn't going to be the way you score against Houston, driving and getting all the way to the basket and stuff like that. So, you know, the Flory and Trey and Cole and whoever else has to step up and make shots. And that's probably not what Mel does the best. But if he could shoot 33 from beyond the arc, that would be great. But I don't know that he's going to take a ton of them.
Bill, through 2 exhibitions, do you have any better picture on if anyone might redshirt this season?
Corbin's going to. You write that, you know. And after that, I really don't know yet. You know, in today's time with the portal and all that stuff, it's kind of, how do you do it? Do you play them for the long-term future, or you just try to do what's best for today and then recruit tomorrow based on today's results? So I don't really know yet, but I would say Corbin is for sure.
Coach, you guys had 13 turnovers to Fort Hayes' 7. What did you see that Fort Hayes did well to force those turnovers?
I don't know that they forced them as much. I just think we had some bad ball handling plays. I thought they handled the pressure, even though it was, you know, the pressure that we put on tonight was kind of like Louisville's pressure that they put on us. Man to man, maybe trap every now and then. Not really serious pressure, but it made us have to handle the ball, and we made them have to handle the ball, and I thought they did a pretty good job of not turning it over. But the way that Mark will probably play with this team is, you know, move it, make a defense make a mistake, and make the defense chase you a little bit. So, you know, they don't take a lot of chances on offense. We probably take more chances, but I didn't think our ball handling was awful tonight. You know, how many did we have? 13?
Yeah.
Yeah. If my teams historically have probably averaged in that, you know, 11 to 13 range, because we have a lot of different guys handle it, and when you do that, you usually turn it over a little bit more.
You also talked about earlier just having your team getting better rebounds inside. What did you see from, I guess, both sides on the interior in terms of how well both sides did? And
I would say, no, I'm just looking at it right here, but we missed 30 shots and got 14 back, so that's probably pretty good. They missed, if you just want to look at it this way, they missed 45 shots and got 6 back, which is excellent. So we did a much better job percentage-wise of rebounding. The thing I would be probably, even though it's not exactly Louisville, but long shots mean long rebounds, and that's where Louisville killed us the other day. They missed 18 threes today, and they didn't kill us on the offensive glass, so we probably did a better job of running down the long balls, which was probably good, better.
All right, Coach.
That's Bill Self post-game 71-35 KU over Fort Hays State. Well, if you heard a bunch of waves crashing into the doors here at the Kansas Nation studio, it's because Henry Greenstein, straight from California, has entered, and we will be joined by him next segment. The California Kid in person after this. Thanks for listening, ESPN Kansas City, and watching KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. We're going to be joined right now by the man, the myth, the legend. KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Henry Greenstein joins the show as he does every Wednesday. Henry, appreciate you coming on. We get to talk about, let's start with basketball. Let's do that. 2 exhibition games in the books, and next time it counts Monday when Doug Gottlieb brings his Green Bay Phoenix into town. But go back to the Louisville game if you want. Last night's game, of course, kind of a sleeper, but KU 2-0 in exhibition play. What have you liked?
Yeah, I mean, I think yesterday was a really interesting test case for something that probably will come up at another point during the season, which is the absence of Darren Peterson. I think Melvin Council did a good job rising to the occasion. You can definitely see that he's going to endear himself to fans over the course of this year. I mean, the energy he plays with, how much he seemingly cares about defense, his ability to push the pace in transition. He's going to be a really fun player to watch. Then on the other hand, you have the fact that a lot of the other people you're counting on to chip in on offense didn't necessarily do it yesterday, and that's how you end up scoring the fewest points you've ever scored against Fort Hays State with 71. But
it's also the fewest they've ever scored against us, right?
Yeah.
There is that.
Very fair point. The fewest anyone has ever scored in exhibition against KU. So, some people who clearly need to step up and maybe haven't quite settled into the flow of things at this juncture. But exhibition play overall, I think you can kind of judge the success, especially based on how they did against Louisville. Yesterday, maybe about what you expect for a team missing its best offensive threat. It's hard to really hold that against them too much. But I'd say, just about everyone on the roster has showed some sort of promising sign. And that's a good place to be in just a few days away from your season opener.
And I'm talking about, some of the other guys who need to be able to step up. I want to go to the other side of it. Bryson Tiller, probably the biggest surprise to anybody out of these 2 exhibition games, because this is a guy that we didn't really talk about a whole heck of a lot. We talked a lot about Flory, talked a lot about, Trey White and Paul Mbia, but we had this guy just kind of sitting in the garage, and Bryson Tiller, who was injured last year, obviously redshirted. Did you expect this out of a guy like Bryson Tiller? And if he continues to impress everybody, where do you think his minutes could possibly go? And do you see him possibly even getting into the starting lineup early?
Well, it's a complicated question. I mean, first of all, to answer your initial question, no, I didn't expect it. And the reason why is that I didn't really think that he would seem so ready for the collegiate level, not having played a competitive game in like a year and a half, essentially, due to the foot injury that, he came to KU to rehab it, and he was supposed to be able to practice. That never happened. He ended up getting surgery and was kind of sidelined. I mean, maybe it still did him good to be in the program last semester because he seems to have really taken off early. But there's so many appealing traits: his offensive skill, his range, his length, his passion and intensity. I think there's a lot to like about Tiller, and certainly seems to be ahead of schedule. In terms of where his minutes will come, I mean, we already know he's going to be part of the rotation. I think it really does depend on Flory Bidunga, and both foul trouble and effectiveness. The foul trouble we saw in the first exhibition, the lack of effectiveness we saw in the second one. I think for KU to go as far as it wants to go, Flory needs to be their second best player, which would necessarily limit Tiller's minutes. But if he's not up to snuff, then it's clear there will be competition for minutes in the post from Tiller and Paul Mbia.
Every year when we look at the KU basketball roster, we talk about how much depth they have, right? Because we always envision these guys playing to their ability. And a lot of times it doesn't work out. And naturally, every season, there's going to be 7, 8, 9 guys who kind of get their way into the rotation. We know that Flory needs to be better. Bill Self was vocal about that. He was just 3 of 9 from the field, 0 of 5 free throws. Did have a nice stretch in the second half, I'll say that. And Tiller's been great. I liked what I saw out of Mbia. But when you look at the guards, maybe throw Trey White into that, because just Trey White's going to get minutes. It's just who's going to sit when Trey White is out there. Rosario, everybody's sounding the alarm because he's 1 out of 8 in 2 games. I don't really care about that. He's going to bring a lot. But when you look at the other guards on this team, Marco is going to be a piece. Guys a little bit maybe further down, Jaden Dawson, I'd like to know your thoughts on, and then Jamari McDowell, Sami's Calderon. Where are those guys going to fit? Because it's just going to happen. There's only so many minutes to go around. A couple of those guys are going to be further down the bench.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with Calderon. I thought Calderon would find a way to work himself into some minutes because he fills a positional fit that they don't have a lot of other people for, being a big wing or a 4. Like, the only other person who really fits that is Trey White. So I thought because of that alone, Calderon would find his way in. But if Tiller's going to play a lot and he's going to play the 4, that becomes a bit less necessary. And it certainly seems like Calderon is probably the person who's most on the fringes of getting actual playing time at this juncture. Didn't really show a lot against Fort Hays State, and I guess there'll be more opportunities for him against some of these mid majors. You'd think if KU can build up some leads, but I'm not totally sure what to make of him at this juncture because he was apparently really impressive over the summer. But Bill Self not long ago referred to him as more of a prospect than a player at this juncture, and we'll see if that's borne out over the course of the year. As for the others, Jamari McDowell, it kind of feels like he's ahead of Jaden Dawson right now in the rotation, just based on what we've seen. And I think a lot of that has to do with him being a known quantity, and a guy who's bought in and knows the system. I would say he was solid. He didn't have too many standout moments. It's good that he can step up and bury a 3 every now and then because not many people on the team are doing that, nor do we expect many people to do that. But he's also not the most dazzling at this juncture. Whereas Jaden Dawson, I think a lot of people expected more from him right away, given the level of production and athleticism and shooting that he displayed during his time with Loyola Chicago. Maybe that'll take a little bit longer to come. But I do think it probably doesn't bode super well that he's not more integrated than he is at this juncture.
Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World. Wanted to talk to you about one of the bigs that we saw a lot of yesterday in Paul Mbia, right? To me, still a little uncoordinated, just not quite there developmentally in terms of, the fundamentals, I guess. I wanted to ask Bill Self this question, but I'm curious to know what your answer is. What is his ceiling? Because he's a fascinating kind of player because he's the tallest guy out there. His standing reach is almost 10 feet tall, but still going to be probably fighting for minutes. What's Paul Mbia's ceiling for this year?
Oh, well, for this year, I don't know if he has a super high ceiling. Like, this year, his ceiling and also his floor is to be like Flory Badunga's backup.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, just because of Flory being on this team and what they have tied up in him and how significant he has to be.
Or just for his career, too, I guess you could.
Down the line, you just touched on, he has all the measurables. Like, there's no reason this guy can't be an elite big man down the line. Now, granted, he's already like a 20-year-old freshman, so it's a little bit different than someone coming in super raw at 17 or 18. So I don't know, maybe he doesn't have the highest ceiling in the world, but it's hard not to like what you see when you see him soar above the entire other team for a rebound, or just his ability to alter shots, even though he hasn't blocked a lot. You can tell people have to strain to try to get around that 7'8" wingspan. I like Mbia as a piece. I think it was on the radio last night. Self said he has a habit of kind of bringing the ball down too much where other smaller players are able to slap at it. And he obviously needs to develop a greater repertoire of offensive moves to kind of provide any sort of presence on that end. But, it's kind of like a comparison you guys frequently make. You think about the Parker Brown type. This is very different in terms of that. I have no doubt that there will be a lot of growth we see from Mbia over the course of the year, especially if he does find a way to get some sort of consistent playing time. Even a small quantity of minutes could go a long way for him. I'm really excited to see what he develops into. Right now, I don't think he's going to play a very prominent role in the near term, and I'm my confidence in him being part of a 2 big lineup is kind of low at the moment. But like I said, just excited to see what he turns into over the course of the year.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Hopefully, a great season and great career here at KU for Mbia. And the other thing that we haven't really had is you got 10 fouls with your bigs for Tiller and Mbia just off the bench. I mean, you don't want Flory to get into foul trouble, but if last year shows us anything, he's prone to fouls at times. And those are real guys who can come in, even if they're not the most polished players right now, they definitely can contribute on that front. Last thing from me regarding basketball is what you said a little bit earlier, Henry, and the fact that for KU to reach its ceiling and for KU to be a top 10 team, as I think this roster certainly is worthy of, Flory Badunga's got to be that guy. He's got to be the best offensive option outside of Darren Peterson for KU. And certainly defensively, he's got to continue doing what he showed flashes of last year and protect the rim and that sort of thing. What's the next step for him, being able to score with his back to the basket, being able to extend out to the perimeter a little bit? How do we ensure that he is a productive offensive player?
I mean, those are all the things we heard about him doing over the course of the offseason. It just didn't look natural yet at all last night when he would try to make a move in toward the basket. I think maybe the guys from Fort Hays State were blanketing him in the paint a little bit more, and it was more congested than he expected. He didn't have enough space to kind of pull off some of those moves to the rim, but it didn't look like someone who has taken as many reps doing exactly that as we know Forey has over the course of the offseason, because that's been such a priority for him. So that was a little surprising to me. I haven't quite seen the evidence yet that he has a more developed post game. The perimeter thing, I think there is more of a body to suggest that he's better at handling the ball. He's better at making the passes and being a more fluid player when he is out toward 3-point line. I'm a little more encouraged in that respect, that he can at least run plays in an effective way and figure into sets in that manner. But in terms of the offensive stuff, that's what they need from him most in terms of the scoring, especially if they don't have as reliable of an outside shooting presence as a lot of the guys that they'll be going up against. And so that's clearly an area where he has a lot of work to do still.
Henry, I'm sure you've been locked into the Doug Gottlieb show, trying to get as much information as you can about the Green Bay Phoenix. But I wanted to ask you about this Green Bay team, not to give me a breakdown, but more so on the KU side of things. Do you think that we're still going to see the same starting five and maybe less minutes distribution, or is this still going to be kind of an evaluation game?
Well, Self's liable to make a change whenever he wants to the starting lineup, but I do think that it'll be the same five that we've seen, just because I don't think you can remove someone at this early stage without risking a blow to their confidence. I think that, unless Cole Rosario continues to struggle in a more extended sample size, I do think he'll get his fair chance. From everything I've heard, he was really good over the summer and certainly earned it, even though we haven't seen a huge amount of shooting. And also, even though he hasn't made a lot of shots, he will do the things that Bill Self loves. I mean, even in the games, even in these last two exhibitions where he hasn't dazzled, he's the guy diving after the loose balls and going after rebounds and whatever. So I think it'll be hard to wrest that spot away from him in the early going. As for Green Bay, they were 4-28 last year, and their best. Now, I will defend Gottlieb for a moment by saying they had a guy averaging 27.2 points per game who suffered a season-ending injury in December. So that kind of set them back a little bit. That guy, fun fact, is now at Oklahoma State.
Look at that.
His sixth school in 6 seasons.
Man, you think he had a little connection there?
I think so. Perhaps.
He knows a guy who knows a guy,
yeah,
probably.
Maybe. Other than that, Green Bay, they have some returning guards. They have some transfers in from lower divisions, but they're picked to be the worst team in the Horizon League, and they look like they'll be a very low quality team. So this could. I don't want to say it exactly, but it could be like a third exhibition in some respects for KU.
Yeah, it could be ugly, but we'll be 1-0 if KU gets the victory before they head to UNC, which we're excited for, which can be next Friday, 6 o'clock Central Time. Henry, let's talk a little football. Disappointing in every sense of the word across the board Saturday in the Sunflower Showdown as KU fell 42-17 to K-State. One point in that game, this is kind of a sad, I guess, awakening for me when you're trying to claw back in this game. And I think it was the third quarter and KU was down. I look up in the video board showing turnovers 3-1, sacks 4-0. I'm like, well, we're probably not going to win this game, so kind of take this wherever you want, as K-State played their best game of the year and KU not so much.
Yeah. It was really bad in every conceivable way. There were very few things from that game that you could look at and be like, you know what, KU really put in its best effort in this particular. And that's not me questioning the effort of the players, but I do think that, things KU had been bad at before it was bad at, and things KU had been good at before it was also bad at. Just a really poor time for Jalen Daniels, worst game of the season and one of his worst ever as a starter. Props to Daniel Highshaw for running hard. I'm excited to see what Highshaw gives the rest of the year. Seems to be in a great headspace and healthier again. He hasn't quite had the consistent production a lot expected, but there's been encouraging signs he can do that down the stretch here. But otherwise, nothing good. We talked all offseason about how with a young secondary, you need the pass rush to take some of the burden off of them. That pass rush hasn't been there for the last month, honestly.
Which is so frustrating because those are the guys that we were highlighting so much in the
know,
offseason. We just
yeah.
haven't gotten as much from them.
I know Dean Miller has been kind of a question mark, and DK McDonald basically said this week that Dean doesn't have the weight to be effective in the run game right now, which is not great. But yeah, I mean, think about how little we've talked about him and Leroy Harris and some of those guys of late. They just haven't really had a defining game. And so when that's the case, Avery gets all day to sit back there and toss up a deep ball to Jerron Tibbs or Jace Brown. And that's pretty much what happened. And, you know, Austin Alexander kind of took his lumps out there. I'm still a little confused, and I asked about this during this week. I understand Mason Ellis is coming off injury, but if KU can put Mason Ellis at nickel, that means they can put one fewer cornerback on the field, which would seem to be a good thing for them. So hopefully as Ellis gets healthier, they'll consider moving him back to that spot, which will in turn make for a stronger overall secondary. But yeah, a lot of things they need to figure out on the defensive side of the ball. The offense, I have more confidence in it bouncing back because it was good all year until this point. The defense has been wildly inconsistent, and it's kind of embarrassing for me to think that I so early on declared this the best defense of the Lance Leipold era. And who knows, maybe the last month of the year it will return to the form it showed against West Virginia or in the second half against UCF or whatever. But you really don't know what you're going to get from the defense on a week by week basis at this juncture. And I guess thankfully for KU, in terms of its overall momentum and its postseason prospects, it has the objectively worst Big 12 team coming in this week and a chance for a bit of a get right game, maybe.
I want to ask you about Oklahoma State, obviously, but let's put a bow on this game, if you will. And just from an outsider's perspective, right? Because you've been with the team for a long time, but also you're a California native, as it's, I don't know if people knew this, but
really,
how much of a mental aspect do you think it is that Kansas can't get over that hump with Kansas State? Because by all indications, Kansas had the much better team this year. Hell, I even think they had a better team last year too, and just wasn't able to get over that hump. How much of it is mental as opposed to just not being good enough?
I don't know. I don't really feel okay. I agree with you in one small sense, because I think players probably could tend to press more when they have a sense of the big game. I think Jalen Daniels maybe pressed a little bit, but in general, I don't think players look at it the same way that we do in terms of this overarching long-term history against the program. I really think I believe them when they say that they're able to take it as a one game at a time kind of thing and a week like any other. Because you kind of have to maintain that sort of single-minded focus as a player in order to be maximally effective. And that's like the entire ethos of Lance Leipold's program. So I don't think that it comes into their mind too much. I think they just got soundly outplayed in every facet for reasons unrelated to the fact that it was a rivalry game.
Sure, that makes sense. Henry Greenstein, KSports.com, and the Lawrence Turner World. What are you seeing out of Oklahoma State? The fighting Oklahoma State Jayhawks, if you will, the Doug Meacham and Clint Bowen at the helm. It kind of weird because obviously it's a much different team, different coached team as it was in the beginning. Clint Bowen has done a fantastic job in terms of their run defense. I believe they've cut it back by like 100 yards per game ever since he's gotten there, taken over as defensive coordinator. What are you seeing out of Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I mean, Clint has done really well with the run defense. I think it's important to note they're still tied for 126.
Yeah, it's still not good. Yeah,
in like offense and 128th in defense, and they've lost all of their Big 12 games by an average of 4 touchdowns. So it is not your usual Oklahoma State coming into David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium. And you know, it's interesting to think about that because KU has lost 13 of its last 14 games against the Cowboys, but in terms of the spread and the way this game is being viewed, it's almost like a Fresno State kind of situation in terms of like just purely how much KU is expected to win this matchup. But those are Big 12 athletes on the other side.
True.
Rodney Fields, a redshirt freshman running back, looks really good. He's had a fairly limited size of appearances, but had 163 rushing yards against Cincinnati. Wendell Gregory, another redshirt freshman defensive end, is probably one of the best pass rushers in the conference this year. So they have pieces. It's just the roster overhaul they did in the offseason and the coaching staff overhaul really did not work on a comprehensive scale. So that's how you end up with Mike Gundy fired. Then a week later, the defensive coordinator fired. Then after that, a play calling change from Meacham to the quarterback's coach. And if it were me, I feel like if I'm the interim head coach of a program, I feel like I got to keep things consistent for as long as possible after there's just been a seismic. But I don't know. I'm not the interim head coach, in case you guys weren't aware. But Oklahoma State, even in these huge losses, has been building up maybe a little bit of momentum. Players building more confidence. By all accounts, they have hung together. And, as Lance Leipold put it, they could be viewing this as this is our chance to get a big conference win and feel better about the way the season has gone. So KU has to understand, even though this is a pretty bad team coming in, like it's a team that's going to be hungry and eager to get things back on the right foot and represent their school.
Yeah, Oklahoma State's no good. We've seen that. But at the same time, if KU plays like they did on Saturday, they might not win. So you need to go. You need to show up. You need to play better than they did against K-State. That's going to be 3 o'clock Saturday. KUathletics.com/tickets if you want to go. Just a quick word on KU soccer, KU volleyball. Soccer, a great time out in Utah. And then volleyball, just a gut punch. 5-set loss to K-State after such a feel-good win, sweeping a top 25 team in TCU. Volleyball is going to have to regroup on the road, the old Cincinnati, West Virginia swing. And soccer, they're in good shape to be back in the NCAA tournament and should have a shot to win the Big 12 tournament again.
Yeah, losing to K-State, who KU had beaten 8 straight times, especially when they were 3 points away from finishing off in the 4th set, was absolutely brutal. It was a regression to some of the issues they had earlier in the season. It was a massive blow to their positioning in the RPI and all that. But the good news for KU is that they're playing a lot of pretty bad teams coming up. West Virginia's at the bottom of the Big 12. Cincinnati, I think they've been a little bit better this year. I think they may have a new coach, but they've improved. And I think like 2 of the next 4 matches are against Cincinnati or something. There's also Colorado in there. So not like the top teams in the conference, which will be a good respite after the gauntlet they had to endure earlier on. You just hope that losing a match in such a brutal and disappointing fashion in Allen Fieldhouse, when so much was made of it, doesn't have a long-term effect on that team, especially stacking up with all the other 5-set matches they lost earlier in the year. And as for soccer, somewhat quietly put themselves in a position where they could potentially host as many as 3 NCAA tournament matches. I believe they're like number 12 in the RPI right now.
Dang.
This is a really interesting match they have coming up against Colorado, which last time I checked was number 11 in the RPI. And essentially, KU, despite that positioning, cannot go any higher than number 5 in the Big 12 tournament seeding because the top 4 teams are all so good. And they can't get any lower than 7. So, this Colorado game will determine their positioning in that respect. But honestly, I don't know that there's too much of a difference between facing any of those teams in the top 4, so it probably doesn't matter all that much. I am disappointed the Big 12 tournament's no longer at CPKC.
I know.
They did that for 1 year and they decided to abandon it.
At least we made the most of it.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's for sure. But yeah, soccer might be the best team on campus right now, so people should definitely pay attention to what they're doing. And NCAA tournament isn't that far away, and they could definitely make some noise in it this year.
Yeah, interesting. KU volleyball. I mentioned the Cincinnati, West Virginia swing. I used to do PA for KU volleyball, and West Virginia had a girl back in the day that I just completely butchered her name. I was pretty good, and you practiced beforehand.
It was Jane Doe.
Yeah, but shout out to Anna Panayotakopoulos, as I was unable to get that correct.
One more time?
And then Anna Panayotakopoulos. I will never forget it now. Now I've got it down.
That's great.
But of course, it was starting lineups, and it wasn't just that she was a bench player. She would often sub in, so I had to say it a million times. But anyway, KU won that, by the way, and yeah, they've had West Virginia's number. So Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to another fun week.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, after this, KU Mailbag segment. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com. Special shout out to Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com and LJWorld.com. Always love having him in studio.
Are you a little out of breath?
I am, a little bit.
He had to sprint. He was in the bathroom. He must have got locked in there again and sprinted
I need
back.
a second to catch my breath here. All right, we're good. Yeah, I made it, man.
You did.
Elijah started counting down from 10. Heart rate went up.
Yeah, that's fair. But hey, I'm glad your heart rate's up because this segment always gets my heart rate up. It's KU Mailbag.
Great segue. God, you're good at those.
I know.
God.
I know.
Special talent, man. Special talent. KU Mailbag segment. Dan, steer the ship here. Who are we starting with?
We'll start off with KU Najee with a KU basketball question. I kind of asked Henry like kind of answered this last segment. KU Najee says, how similar will Paul and Mbia's stats this year be to first year Udoka's? So Udoka Azubuike.
I got him pulled up. You want me to go?
Yeah,
go through 'em?
please.
13 minutes a game, 5 points.
Okay.
And 4.4 rebounds.
Mm.
I'm going to say Paul Mbia's stats will be exactly the same as Udoka Azubuike. 12.9 minutes per game, 5 points, 4.4 rebounds. One difference, though, Udoka shot 38% from the free throw line. I can't get over how good his free throws looked last night in Mbia.
No, yeah.
The dude looks
same.
like he's going to be an 80% free throw shooter.
For sure.
It's pure.
I think he's going to have a worse field goal percentage than Doak.
Okay.
Now, if he dunks
Freshman
everything,
year
sure.
Doak, 63%.
Yeah. I mean, I if he gets more anything, it might be rebounds, right? I just don't see, because whenever Flory, eventually does get into foul trouble, they're going to bring in Bryson probably at that 5 spot. I just don't see Paul Mbia being the go-to guy. Like you said, they have 10 fouls basically on the bench for whenever Flory gets in foul trouble. I think that they more than likely would go with the Bryson Trey White front court as opposed to the Paul Mbia Trey White or the Paul Mbia Bryson Tiller.
Maybe. I could see
court.
the Mbia and Tiller.
You think so?
I think so. Bill Self saying last night that Mbia Flory, he said we may never see it again. But yeah, I could see Tiller and Mbia being out there. We did see Tiller and Flory the exhibition quite a lot. So I could see that happening.
Tiller
especially
because
you're giving up a decent amount of size with White at the 4.
Yeah, that's
true. But he is kind of, to Henry's point, Trey White, he kind of has that size skill set combination that not a lot of guys on this team have.
Yeah.
He brought up Calderon.
He's like a big 3, kind of.
Yeah, but starting at the 4, which is kind of the way that basketball is going. But you know that Bill Self in his heart of hearts still likes the 2 bigs, right? Playing high-low for so many years. So.
You know that. I think that, so 5 points a game, I think that Paul Mbia does not get 5 points a game. Let's see, blocks per game, 1.6. No, I mean, no way, right? Maybe he does. Maybe he gets 1.6. I think it's all going to be based on the measurables.
And the minutes. If he actually plays 12.9 minutes, that
right.
would be, yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't see the 12.9 or 13 minutes per game. Which, by the way, I was with you. I thought Udoka Azubuike had the most in a single season, the highest field goal percentage in a single season. It's career.
Yeah.
It's
and single season, I think.
And single season?
Yeah, sophomore year, 77%. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. My goodness.
A lot of point blank opportunities for Doak. That's for sure.
Man, what a player he was. Special player. I just don't see I don't see it. Just because of the minutes factor, and he, like I said, he's just not there yet. That's the key word. He's not there yet. I think he could potentially be. If he does get to All-American level, sure, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, he has a high ceiling, but also the floor is low too.
What made you bummed about Mbia getting 9 and 9 in 12 minutes last night?
It's not that I was bummed. It's just literally watching him play. Like it just you could tell he just didn't when you watch Bryson Tiller play, and when you watch Paul Mbia play, you can see one of them is substantially better than the other one at basketball. In terms of dribbling, in terms of, ball control, in terms of, putting up tough shots, getting around defenders. Bryson Tiller is substantially better. Paul Mbia has the measurables to be able to do that against a Division II opponent. Again, I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm just saying he's not there yet. I'm saying he will be under more development under Bill Self. Now, it's a little concerning because he is a 20-year-old freshman, but I still think he's going to get better.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be as. I like Paul Mbia. I think he's going to be a great piece for this team. I absolutely do. Elliot, he has a couple of questions. These are from last week. We didn't get to answer them for Elliot, so I'm throwing them in this week. Elliot says, if you could have dinner with 6 people from any time period, who are they and what is being eaten and where is the meal taking place?
Well, what's being eaten is my go-to barbecue meal.
Of course.
Which is a
burn-in sandwich?
Yeah, I mean,
Gates?
but I've been over this. I like this from this restaurant and this from this restaurant.
Yeah, but okay, but any food at all, ever, you're still going with burn-in sandwich with onion rings from Jack Stack and the fries from Joe's.
Absolutely. What would you go with?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe honestly, I might be the same.
You can have a steak.
I'll have. I like steak. No, I don't know. There's good meal. Like if it's like a free meal. I don't know, pizza. like a good margarita pizza or Neapolitan pizza, something like that.
Really?
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I
See, I need the protein.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't. But like go to Italy and get it. You know what I mean? Maybe get some pasta. I know you don't like pasta. Any 6 people from any time period.
That's
Let
a
me
lot
see.
of people.
It's a lot of people. Let me think. So I have a couple in mind.
Probably Moses.
Moses. He speaks a different language. You're not going to be able to talk
He'd be
to him.
great. It's all about
He speaks Latin.
the enjoyment of the company. Seems like a nice guy.
Fair enough. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but you can't talk to him. Was
dead.
The late one, very, very late, I guess. Late, he's not coming. Man, 6 people. So I'll go with Frederick Delano Roosevelt. That's my number 1 overall pick. He's fascinating to me. I want to talk his ear off about the New Deal. Let me think. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because I think that's a good duo there, and they have a lot to talk about. I'm gonna go with Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers mascot.
What about the Phillies mascot?
No. Me and him have beef. Let me think. So that's 3. Man, I'm pretty good right there, right? I'll throw in Frank Mason.
You got to get 6. You're at 4. Britney
4, right?
Spears.
Yeah. I'll have her at that table too. Jeff Goldblum is probably the right answer.
Jeff Grimes?
No. Jeff Goldblum, I think, is the right answer. He would just hold court the entire time. I think that's the right answer. Do you have 6 people in mind at all?
I don't.
Do you even know 6 people?
I don't think I do.
That aren't KU affiliated?
I think I'll be better served answering this next question from Elliot. If you could only eat foods of one color for a week, which color would you pick?
Ooh.
I mean,
I have the right answer.
Are you going completely unhealthy and going brown? Or are you going healthy and going green?
The right answer is brown.
Yeah, because you got
so what
yellowish brown. I know you're wondering about fries.
Yes.
Yellowish brown. You can go in. But I mean, if you have to do curly fries, then
But you have a number.
But yeah, you get pork tenderloin, chicken nuggets, steak sandwich.
Now here's the thing.
Steak is.
Do you have to eat your steak medium well or well done?
I don't. But steak is a different. It's a different brown than a chicken sandwich.
But it's still brown.
Okay.
What color's a steak? Just what color's a steak?
I mean, after it's seared, because you want to say black, right?
No, it's not. No, it's brown.
After a seared steak on a grill.
A medium well steak is brown.
See, I like it seared, where you get the brown and the black.
What color? What colors
on the outside?
Yeah. What colors chicken? Fried chicken.
Brown.
Sure. What color's bread?
Can you be more specific?
Brioche.
Are you asking about like what color is white bread?
No, but also white bread is still brown to me. It's not
on the interior.
Yeah, but it's not white. It's not pasty white. The brown is the correct answer because there's a slew of different things.
Well, and that's why I think this is important, because the question is, if you can only eat foods of one color for a week, not for the rest of your life. For a week, I could go brown. I couldn't do brown the rest of my life.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I went a whole week last week eating nothing but brown foods.
Okay, well, there you go. It's done. I don't know what it would be like for my life. I don't know. It's not doable, right?
Bratwursts are brown. Hamburgers.
Who knows? Luke, another hard hitter. Would you rather never be able to watch sports or movies/TV shows again, or never eat meat again? Back to food.
This might be the toughest question we've gotten in KU mailbag history. Never watch sports, movies, or television again, or never eat meat again?
Dude, I think I'm going vegetarian.
I think I'm going vegetarian too.
Really?
I really do.
Because there's still a lot of food that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I could have a cheese pizza. I could have fries. I would have to come around to things like tofu, I guess.
Sure. I guess
I mean, cheese pizza every day. You get by.
Something that I've been wanting to do though. Like I could read more books, I guess.
Yeah.
Like newspapers. There's magazines, but like sports, I would obviously have to quit this job if I couldn't watch sports again, right?
Nah, you could BS it.
Read
You're
box
pretty good at
scores.
it. Yeah.
That's what most people do, by the way. Most people on the internet, they just read box scores and then they go on there and argue. I'm going vegetarian, man.
You have to. I can't give up Kansas basketball.
I'm pulling the old Henry Greenstein. Now, is it?
Henry's probably scoffing at that because he literally.
But you can still eat like eggs, right? You still eat eggs and like mayonnaise
What
and
about
ranch.
fish? That's always a questionable one.
Fish is still meat. I don't know what that's the thing where it's like, yeah, I'm a vegetarian, but I eat meat. Well, you're not. Then so you mean you're not a vegetarian?
But some people say that fish is not. There's pescatarian.
Sure. But the fish is still meat. What else would a fish be?
I don't know.
It's meat. It's
okay.
Yeah, I mean, right?
I guess
I'm including fish. I'm including fish in this, which I love. I love fish. And
another brown food if you do it right.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, not salmon. Salmon's pink.
You could fry salmon.
Like a trout. Yeah. Trout's more white.
I don't think I've ever eaten trout.
Really?
A lot of walleye, cod, tilapia.
You're a big fisher guy. You're a fisherman too.
I am a good fisher guy.
That's crazy.
Hunter, would you rather be paid $250,000 up front to never play golf again, or get paid $500 for every par and $1,000 for every birdie you make? You have to play regular 18 holes and no cheating. So is cheating allowed? Am I able to like use a foot wedge?
No cheating.
No cheating. Okay.
Because whenever I golf, every once in a while I'll do the old
foot wedge.
Well, a classic one I do, which is majority of the time, I'll slice one into the trees, and I'll go into the trees.
Oh yeah, you'll say
you
say you found it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have a ball in my pocket. I drop it, and I go, oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's the golfers.
Silly me. Yeah, no, that's I do that all the
special.
time. So no cheating. I think I'm gonna take the $500 for every par and $1,000 for every birdie, because then I can just I can quit my job, work on my golf game. I get a par every time I golf. That's $500. If I golf once a day, I get one par.
So if you're
$500 a day.
So right now, if you play a round of 18, how many pars and how many birdies are you getting?
Probably
no birdies.
No birdies. I'm probably getting 3 pars.
Okay, so there's 1,500.
3-4 pars. Yeah.
So what's
$1,500 a day?
So what's
plus you're gonna get incrementally better.
So what's 200? But let's assume you don't. What's $250,000 divided by 1,500? 166.667.
So that's 166 days where you have to go out and golf. And
assuming you get 3 pars.
And then you break even.
Is that right? Yeah.
I mean, that's an easy question. That's an easy answer, right?
$250,000 up front, but you get. Did I do that right? If you get 1,500 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. Right.
Yeah. So like all you got to do is play golf for half the year. If you get 3 pars, plus, like I said, if you're playing golf every day, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
So that 3 pars is going to turn into 4, 5,
yeah,
6.
Totally. So you play every other day.
Yeah.
Essentially, and as long as you get 3 pars in a year, you get $250,000. Yeah, easy one.
Absolutely, easy.
Unless we did something wrong and our brains fried at the end of the day here.
Josh said, "Is it time to move focus to basketball season?"
Oh,
this is a.
Well, what if you focused on basketball season, but still also focused on football season and the other sports as well?
Yeah. No, I think that's yeah. I mean,
hack.
Josh, what like, are you just not like? Do you have ADHD?
Is he just joshing with us?
He's just joshing with us, man. Yeah. I mean, look, you shift your focus over to basketball season, yes, but
that ball is done going to get kicked off on Saturday. I'll say that much.
Here's the thing. Kansas still has an opportunity to go to a bowl game, which might I remind you, they went on a 16-year streak. No, 15? Streak of not going?
Not quite. So
14-year streak.
Technically, it was either 13 or 14.
14-year streak of not
19
going
to
to
21,
a bowl game.
So 13, I think.
Not going to a bowl game for 13 years. Bowl game is still in contention. I don't care if it's the Meineke Car Care Bowl or the Dollar General Bowl. If Kansas goes to a bowl game, that's still a win. So don't give up. Don't give up. Go to the game. Saturday's going to be homecoming. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. We have a brand new stadium. Yeah, pay attention to KU basketball. That's what we're doing. We're doing both. We're doing all of the sports. We're paying attention to volleyball and soccer and golf. I mean, we're paying attention to all of these things. you don't have to hyperfixate on one thing. You can shift your focus over to basketball and still be focused on football. That right now we are in the golden time period of this year where we have both Kansas football and Kansas basketball. Bask in it. Just bask in it.
Brian has a Chiefs question for us. Now that Mike Pennell is back with the Chiefs, should we say blanket and bring back Mecole Hardman yet again?
I like this question.
Super Bowl champion 2 times over, correct?
Super Bowl hero.
Yes, just like
Mecole
Sky Moore.
Hardman. Yes.
Kadarius
just like
Toney.
Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. That's absolutely correct. Sure. So Mecole Hardman is fascinating to me, right? Whenever I think of Mecole Hardman, I think weird story. That's all I think. Because that was a guy who was drafted, I believe, in the 2nd round. Didn't necessarily pan out the way that we wanted him to, right? For a 2nd round draft pick, for a wide receiver, he was always kind of floating around that 2nd guy, that 3rd guy that was reliable, right? I think there might have been like a little bit of a stretch where he was the number 1 guy for Patrick Mahomes, but he always would have been looked like as a guy who underachieved, I guess, if you will, just because of how much he was talked about and how little of an impact he really did have on games. I'm not saying he had 0 impact. I'm just saying that was a guy we expected a lot more from. Then he got bounced around to the Jets. I believe he got cut from the Jets, came back over to Kansas City wearing number 12, and then scores the game-winning touchdown in overtime of the Super Bowl. I mean, what a fascinating story that is. So why not, right? I mean, that's a guy who's going down in the annals of history of Chiefs football.
Wide receiver 8 at this point. But
also that, yeah, no, I mean, sure.
Right, we won't bring him back.
Yeah, bring him back, sure, but he's not going to play. You have Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of guys who are more reliable pass catchers than Mecole Hardman is right now. So
Kelce's having a good year, man. I love it. After a rough season last year, I'm happy for him.
Shout out to Mike Pennell, man. Get him back on that roster. Good. Sir Bink is his rap name. He's a rapper.
Do you want to read the next one?
Yes. Kevin, he says, why did nobody wish Daniel a happy National Tight Ends Day on Sunday?
I thought Elijah did.
Elijah, did you wish me happy
I don't
National Tight Ends
think
Day?
it applies to retired tight ends.
What do you mean? Greg Olson's a big part of that. Of tight end you?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're not celebrating him on National Tight Ends Day.
Sure. So you
need to still be active, which I don't believe you are.
So if I'm following your logic,
no.
Memorial Day is only for people in active duty, and anybody who hasn't served, anybody who has served in the military but is out of the military.
I love that you are making this comparison right now.
Why is that?
National Tight Ends Day to Memorial Day.
I think it's the same. Why is that so crazy of me to say that? In your way of thinking, you go, no. We're gonna honor the armed forces who are currently active. Everybody else who's out of the military. That's Sean. That's what he's doing. He doesn't like dogs. There's a number of different.
Hank says, "What is one thing?"
I want to stay on this.
What is one thing that you can memorize?
National Tight Ends Day.
What is one thing you can memorize? Hank says. I mean, I've got the ABCs down. You know the lyrics to.
This was
to
actually,
Happy Birthday.
This is actually Henry.
This is Henry.
I wrote this down wrong. He said, "What's one thing you want to memorize?"
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I wrote it down wrong. What's one thing you want to memorize?
Do you have one in mind?
The entire B movie script.
I was gonna say just everybody's stats from everything.
Sure. Yeah. No. If I could, like read a stat sheet one time, because you'll never lose an argument. You'll never lose an argument again.
Right. Strictly sports, but still.
Yeah, I think
I've already got your credit card number memorized, so I'm good on that front.
I have your social security number memorized.
That'll probably get me further than your credit card number.
Is there like a rap song that you want to know all the words to?
I already know all the words to Colt 45.
Of course, that's a classic.
I
think
great.
everybody everybody's just born knowing those parts.
Yeah,
what
I think
a
that's
great
what it was.
that's a great karaoke song too.
Yes, I love and it's great because like right after that they play "Carrying Your Love with Me" by George Strait.
It's so
Karaoke's the
good.
best, man.
It's
I gotta
so
get
good.
back out there.
Last one here. Elijah said, "What inedible thing do you wish you could eat?"
I know what yours is. Aquarium rocks.
Aquarium rocks is 100% up there. I did a whole top 10 a long time ago about
things you wish you could eat.
Yeah, it was top 10 forbidden foods. Lava was on there. I actually, Elijah, our producer, asked this question. I literally, like the other day, I was looking at the softball and I was like,
"Can I take a bite out of this?"
Looks tasty. Like it looks tasty. Like it's bright. It's
nice
fluorescent.
and dirty.
Yeah,
got mud all over it.
I mean, the right answer is probably aquarium rocks. Lava is up there. Packing peanuts for sure. Weird one. I don't think I mentioned this. Just leather in general. I bet it tastes like savory. No, am I okay? It's just like a well done steak, really.
How about a pumpkin? I mean, it'd be kind of
a pumpkin.
I know, I'm kidding.
What about a hamburger? Huh?
A hamburger
I've always wondered what that tastes like.
Cow. Appreciate that question,
man.
Elijah. A lot of food stuff. That's what we're talking about here in
Yeah.
KU Mailbag segment. Thanks
No
to
dating
everybody for
advice.
chiming in. And we kind of avoided too many questions about the football game that took place on Saturday. Looking forward to KU getting back in the win column, we hope, Saturday at 3. Crimson and Blue Show starts at 1:30 on the Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield. You can hear that on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And then Monday, basketball season officially starts with KU and Green Bay. After this, we're going to hear from KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald, who spoke to the media yesterday. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com. KU football going to have to play better on Saturday if they want to get that 5th win, which would leave them just one shy of bowl eligibility with 3 games remaining. They're going to need a better performance out of JD, who has been good this year, 18 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, but it didn't look good on Saturday. He's going to have to turn the page, and an important day for him today.
It is. It's his birthday today. He's turning 23 years old. Shout out to Jalen Daniels, man. I believe he's the longest quarterback to stay at his school since the NIL and transfer portal era.
Coach Leipold and
At
JD,
one
the
school, yeah.
longest tenured quarterback coach combo in Division I football as well. DK McDonald's group, they need a better performance as well after giving up 42 to K-State. Let's hear what KU's defensive coordinator said yesterday.
Coach, when you look back at the Kansas State game, but anything stand out? Adjustments you need to make?
No, I thought there's always adjustments you got to make week to week with the opponent that you play. I thought we did a good job against the run, with the exception of the last run that got out of there. Third down, I thought we did some good things there, getting off the field. We just got to do a better job with the pass game, especially with just the deep balls. We got to do a better job defending those as you put those guys in better positions, baby. And then, when it's their time, they got to shine and they got to guard. And, then we got to continue to coach it in a better fashion to get those guys perform and get those balls down or intercept them or make them not be completions in the explosive plays.
Yeah, looking forward to this week. What do you do with Flores? Do you have to go back and look at previous film to figure out what they might do?
Yeah, you got to dig deep in the archives. You got to do a little bit of everything, in games like this, just because it's kind of feels like one of those first game type of things, just because every week they're reinventing themselves, and they're doing a good job with that. They're being really creative. They're doing a lot of creative things, but it's different every game. And so you got to do a good job just having a base game plan and then be able to adjust from there from what you see, from these guys. They're really creative on what they're doing on offense. Like I said, it's different every game, different personnel, different things they're doing. Some games are in 12, some games are in 11, some games 18 is the quarterback, some games is 12, some games is 6. So it's a lot of different things that we just have to be ready for and adjust on the fly.
How has calling things on the field gone for you so far this season? And when you have a couple of lackluster performances, do you think about moving back up to the box?
No, I don't think where you call it really makes a difference. You just gotta execute better in what we're doing there.
How much weight can you put on any of Oklahoma State's film from before they gave play calling to the quarterback's coach?
A little bit, because they're still doing some of the things that before they switched play callers. So there's some things there. Within the season, there's not a whole bunch of things that you can change through the season, but there's just different thoughts and different philosophies of calling plays. And you can definitely see that shining through as you continue to look at their games.
You guys asked defensive ends to do a lot in the defense. Dean Miller made a play in coverage against K-State. What can you do to maybe get more sort of oomph in the pass rush from those guys at this point?
We bring them quite a bit. If you look, they rush probably more than they drop during the game. So,
Sure.
That's just something they do. And, Dean got the athletic ability to play in space. He necessarily doesn't have the weight that you want to be able to play down there and defend the run all the time. So it's good to kind of put him in space and help him there. Leroy's also a big athletic guy who leads us in sacks. So I guess he's getting a lot of oomph out there too. So I think we're getting it. We're getting it from a lot of different people. And that's what we want from the defense. So people can't key it just on one guy.
Lance has said it, you've said it, execution always a thing, right? When you're looking for why things didn't get executed, what are you looking for? And then are you seeing anything pattern-wise that's maybe keeping that from being executed on a consistent basis?
Yeah, the first thing you always want to look at is just how it's being taught and what we're emphasizing.
Sure.
And I think that's the biggest thing because it starts with coaching. And, we got to do a better job with that. If something's not getting done, that we want to get done. And then after that is continue just to boil things down and, just kind of put people in the right position, ask the right questions to get them to understand why it's not getting done the way you might like to get it done. And then sometimes it's just a matter, too, of when you're there, man, you got to make that play. And some things, that's why they call them 50-50 balls sometimes or, 50-50 tackles. You got to be on the good side of that to be able to make those, too. So it's a combination of everything. We just got to get better at the things we can control, which is the coaching, the preparation, the planning, and then getting out there on the practice field and doing the right things that we emphasize and get stuff done that we know we need to get done to win games.
It looked like Mason was at safety most of the game in his return. I guess, do you foresee him staying there or moving back down to nickel?
It just kind of depends on what we need. J-Ty's doing a good job there at nickel for us there, because we're still a little, guys are playing, but they're a little banged up at safety, so we just kind of need that depth and guys to play there. And plus Mason's speed, able to cover ground, we thought it'd be a good thing for him to be able to play back on the back end and kind of just working back into it like he was because he's been out multiple weeks. So we thought that'd be the easiest spot for him to work himself back into playing time where we needed him.
You've mentioned Jalen as someone who's had a good year. Who else maybe is in that group of guys you've really relied upon? And then are there any players that you're like, you want them to maybe elevate to that group?
I think quite a few guys. Just kind of depends on game to game. Different guys have stepped up. Blake Harrell, is doing a great job for us up front. Kenny Caldwell is doing a heck of a job, up front. I think he had a tackle for loss. In the game, doing a good job. We mentioned Leroy, we mentioned Fink. I think a lot of guys, in spots are doing a really good job. We just got to consistently just put it together and just have a good one there. Even on the back end, I think those guys have had a good year. It just was one of those games where they probably didn't play up to their potential. And we got to get them to bounce back this week and all focus on Oklahoma State getting this victory for these seniors.
I know every opponent is different, but how challenging is it when the things that you're struggling with on defense seem to be different from one game to the next?
I think that's just the way football is. I think it's that way that sometimes, if you're not fitting the run great, the next game you might fit it great like we did this game, and then some balls go over your head. Then we had games where nothing really affected us. So it just you got to kind of adjust on the fly and kind of get it done, and then you got to make sure you're trying to do a good job week to week of making sure you don't have those, mishaps and different things like that. And that's our job to continue to get that done. And this week, that's our plan to kind of get those done and get on the W side.
How much of an emphasis was the gap discipline stuff heading into the last game? And I guess how well do you think that's sticking with guys now?
It did a good job. Like I said, I thought we did a good job against the run, with the exception of that last run that got out. I thought we did a really good job there. I don't think the quarterback really ran on us a whole bunch, so we did a good job with that. So it did a good job. We achieved what we emphasized there. And like I said, we just got to do a better job contesting on some of those passes with our young DBs.
What kind of year has Lyrik Rawls had for you guys?
Having a good year. He's a really good leader. Glad we got him. I know this is a special game coming up for him in particular, so I look forward to seeing how he performs this year. But he's doing a good job. Really proud of him.
You guys got the field goal to crawl a little closer and then first play over the top. Austin, confident kid, bounce back type of mentality. What do you see from a kid when that happens? Obviously, he's not the only player out there, but he's kind of highlighted in that moment.
Yeah, you just you go and pick him up and tell him next play. I mean, that's the part of being a corner. When I coach NFL, there's guys making $15 million a year who still get beat. And you got to bounce back. You got to play the next play. You got to be ready to go. Got to get your eyes right. You got to take the information from the play and why it went wrong, but you can't take the result with you. And that's what we told him there. And it's just an opportunity to bounce back. And he knows he got to have a great week of practice this week. And he knows he's going to have a bullseye on his back. And he's going to have to be able to defend the first couple of passes that Oklahoma State throws his way. And I think he's going to be ready for it. I'm excited to see.
How did you see him respond in that moment?
I thought he responded well. Yeah. He got up and kept challenging. I think guys that who get beat initially, they played off and soft, and but he tried to get up there and still continue to challenge and different things like that. And that's what you want from a young guy, who kind of took really of the season his first lumps. Right. As a redshirt freshman, that was really the first time he really has hit adversity this season. So you were really interested to see how he responds, because up to this point everything was going pretty well for him in coverage. And so that's not the game you really want to see it, but that's where he faced his adversity. It was good to see him bounce back, and it's good to see him this week and then today at practice go out and have a spirited practice.
Did you know he would? I mean, a young guy like that, did you know, okay, we can pick him up, he's got that in him, or did you have to see it to know it?
I think one of those things and with everybody, you got to see it to know it. You think you do, but, you can't simulate those things in practice. You can't simulate that adversity, like that in practice all the time. So it's good to kind of see, what he's made of, what type of grit he has, to be able to bounce back on that stage. And like I said, things didn't go his way. He got attacked. But it was good to see him kind of bounce back and have the proper attitude in it too, that he wasn't pouting or anything like that, or trying to hide or try to deflect. It was none of that. He took responsibility and then got back on the horse and tried to ride.
There were times in previous weeks where you had like 3 safeties and a cornerback or someone in the availability report. How much better is it to have something closer to a full complement of guys now as you head into this final stretch?
Yeah, it really helps. It helps because, as always, for all of us, we won't play away. And so, that's what you worry about more than anything. If somebody went down, was kind of the next plan for you. But now it's good to have depth, like you said, to have Mason be able to go. To have D-Dye back was really good for us, because I thought he's been having a heck of a season. So to have him out really hurt us, because he's a good player for us. So that's been good. And then, get Saeed, get some depth back at corner too, ready to go. And plus that creates competition, which you always want. Also, you don't want guys relaxing and thinking they got something. You want guys behind them pushing them.
You talked last week about some of the young guys maybe starting to make a push to get some time on special teams. Can you talk about that path a little bit, where, it's sort of practice to special teams, you do some good things on special teams, maybe you find some reps on defense?
Yeah, that's always the path really for a lot of guys is, they start in practice and get a couple oohs and ahs in practice, and then the special team coach says, hey, let's throw him down on kickoff or punt return or something like that, and start to make some plays. And all the while, you're continuing to rep them on defense. And we do special things at the end of practice, too, to continue to keep those guys involved in what the defensive game plan is. And then you got to get to a point where you just throw them in and just let them go to work. And so we got some guys who are close to that point, which is fun. I'm looking forward to see them play.
Anything else for Chris?
That's DK McDonald speaking to the media yesterday. Offense didn't play well. We know that. The turnovers. And then defensively, again, no takeaways. We talked about that throughout the season. That's a big part of the game. The special teams forced 1 fumble on the opening kickoff, but it's been kind of tough for this KU defense to get takeaways, and we've seen some struggles. Overall, the young corners have done pretty well. Austin Alexander got burned on that Jace Brown connection, and Avery Johnson was really good and made a good decision to find Brown in single coverage, but there have been problems in the run game at times as well. Big opportunity these 4 games in November for the defense to really show what it's made of.
Yeah, I think Henry probably put it best when he used the word inconsistent, right? Because we've seen this defense be really bad, but we've also seen it be really good, right? Against West Virginia, second half against UCF. Like, we've seen flashes of this defense really make some big-time stops and big-time plays, and we haven't been seeing it as of late, especially against Kansas State. So you need to get more pressure. You need to get your secondary back and healthy. And, he talked about Mason Ellis, who is, everyone talks about him being the fastest guy on the team, working into that strong safety position, but I think it's going to be a lot better for the Jayhawks once he starts working in that hawk nickel position. They like to call it the hawk position, but it's really just a nickel spot. So I think that's going to be a lot better for this squad. But going up against an Oklahoma State team, which it doesn't have nearly the offensive firepower as the last couple of teams that Kansas has seen, I think it's going to be a nice palate cleanse.
Yeah, I mean, those are game-changing plays. The takeaways did well getting 3 against West Virginia, and they're kind of a similar offense in terms of production to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has had statistically the worst offense of the 16 teams in the Big 12. They might get Zane Flores, their quarterback, back, so that'll be a factor. But KU's got to make those big plays because those can determine wins and losses, which it's a results-based league, and it all counts. It all counts the same depending on a win or a loss. After this, we're going to hear from one of KU's safeties, Lyrik Rawls, and maybe a word or two on the World Series as well. Thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com. Rock Chalk Sports rolls on here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Next couple days, of course, a lot of detailed look-ins at Oklahoma State football. They've only got one win. They have not been good. Of course, fired their coach mid-season. Interim head coach is Doug Meacham, who spent some time as offensive coordinator here in Lawrence. And defensive coordinator is Clint Bowen, who, of course, has a lot of ties to KU and Lawrence. That's coming up Saturday at 3. KU basketball's next game is taking place on Monday. That's the season opener, official season opener, 7 o'clock against Green Bay. The KU women are in action tonight, 6:30. So here just in a little bit against Fort Hays State for an exhibition affair. And make sure that you're tuned into ESPN Plus. You can watch Stephen Davis and David Lawrence on that. So, all right, Dan, before we get into Lyrik Rawls and hear everything that he had to say, remind our fans where they can find our show.
Sean, I'm glad you brought this up totally unprompted. Yes, you can find us everywhere on every single social media. TikTok is probably our biggest. That one's been blowing up. Now it's a lot of K-State fans in our comments, but we like the engagement anyway. Instagram at the Kansas Nation, Twitter at the Kansas Nation. That's where you can send us all of your mailbag questions. That's where we live tweet every single game. Live tweets from me. So it'll be a lot of the good stuff, none of the bad stuff, because I can pick and choose what I want to tweet about. Facebook, Kansas Nation, like I said, Instagram, everything. Also find us on YouTube. You can watch all of our shows there as well as on KansasNation.com. So be sure to like and subscribe everything of ours. We really appreciate it. We're trying to grow this brand, and you guys have been a big help.
Saturday, of course, is a Lyrik Rawls revenge game. Easy for me to say. Rawls, of course, came over from Oklahoma State, knows a lot of guys on the Cowboys roster. We heard from Lyrik yesterday. Hey, Lyrik, start just talking about the first couple days this week of practice, the vibes, how everything's going.
You know, we knew that we had things to clean up to get this show on the road. So you know, we got here, got the film corrected. You know, pointed to all the things that we needed to correct is to get the week started for the next opponent.
What's DK been like so far these past couple days?
I feel like he been maintaining his same energy that he brings every week. You know, make sure that he got a game plan for us, and he still continue to do his job.
How many guys do you know over on the roster still for Oklahoma State?
I know like a good handful of guys that's still over there, so it'll be good to get to see some of my guys.
Yeah.
How much have you thought about this game over the course of the season? Because you knew obviously it was coming at some point.
I already knew I wanted to be playing them again, but you know I just look at it as another game to go out there on Saturday.
Did you have a lot of guys reach out and trash talk at all?
Not at all. I actually haven't heard from nobody, and I probably won't till the game over with. So just keep it cordial.
Yeah, obviously the coaching change, just being there for the time that you were you surprised to see that? Did you have any reaction to that coaching change over there at OSU?
I probably kind of felt pretty bad because I know he had a good run there. You know, he had changed a lot of men's life there. He got me there, so got me in college football. So I feel like I'm thankful for the journey that he was a part of mine.
I'm curious, their quarterback that started the year could be back. Have you guys gone back and watched him and see what the offense, does it change with him? Or?
We've been we'll watch every game that they play, you know, to pick up what their favorite formations, what their favorite plays. So when you watch all of the games, you will see what all you need to see really.
How do you think, I guess, your defense as a whole has evolved over the course of this year? How have you guys grown? It seems like you've gone through a lot in the course of the season so far.
Yeah, I say definitely with the ups and downs of the season, you definitely find character. You find who's have these strengths and who have these weaknesses, and you try to put everything in the right place to go out there and get the win.
It's like having, I guess, all your guys back in the safety room now, because there was a time where at least 3 of you guys were hurt for a moment.
Well, it basically makes practice better, you know. You ain't gotta just be out there all day by yourself. You actually get some reps off, get some guys rotating in.
You've got young guys at the cornerback spots. In a game like against K-State where they're hitting a couple deep passes, do you talk to them at all? Do you say, try to get them back in the game after giving up some plays like that?
Yeah, so, you know, playing DB at this point, at this level, you got to have a short mindset. You know, somebody make a play on you, you got to be ready to go out there the next play to make another play for yourself.
Thanks, Larry.
That's Lyrik Rawls a little bit earlier. A Lyrik Rawls revenge game going down Saturday at 3, KU and Oklahoma State. World Series tied up at 2, going to Game 5 tonight at Chavez Ravine. Ohtani, I guess, is somewhat human. He gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. Of course, he's pitching, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dodgers lose tonight. Very shortly is Game 5. Mookie Betts back out there for the Dodgers, of course. He's just 3 of 19 this series, and he's hitting 3rd in the lineup. That's the lowest he's hit in the lineup, Dan, since 2021.
Wow.
Trying to get him going.
Man, that's insane. Is it weird to think that a team from Canada is America's team right now?
I saw that. It seems like it, man. People hate the high payroll.
I don't like the Dodgers. I think they're ruining baseball, and they're leaning into it, and they're probably going to ruin baseball, and there's not going to be any baseball played in 2027, but I'm not going to get all worked up about it. I'm cheering for the Blue Jays. Vladdy looks fantastic. I mean, I need the Blue Jays to win this game, or to win this series.
Yeah, America's team?
America's team.
Well, Games 6 and, if necessary, 7 will take place north of the border. I got to think those fans are absolutely jacked for that. Interesting, Joe Carter and Kirk Gibson, respective heroes of those franchises, both had walk-off homers, and this is shaping up to be an all-time great series. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations today in the Kansas Nation studio, and Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman saying 4 to 6 tomorrow. Don't want to miss Rock Chalk Sports. Brian Haney will be here in studio. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.